The night sky was a fractured mirror of fire and shadow. Lightning clawed through the clouds as if to warn the world that something terrible was stirring. In a secluded ruin, atop a jagged cliff overlooking the sea, a lone figure knelt, tracing sigils in blood upon the stone floor. Her hands moved with precision and madness combined, weaving a pattern that pulsed with unnatural light. She was known among whispered legends as Lysera, a sorceress whose brilliance had once rivaled kings and gods alike, but whose hatred for humanity had consumed her. Centuries ago, humans had brought ruin to her homeland with fire, steel, and ignorance. They had plundered sacred places, enslaved her people, and left nothing but ash. Her obsession was not born of whim, but of loss, of an enduring fury that refused to fade with time. Tonight, she had unearthed the Codex of Shadows, a forbidden tome bound in human skin, and inked with the essence of fallen demons. It promised power beyond comprehension, a weapon capable of erasing humanity itself. She whispered incantations in a tongue older than the mountains, and the wind itself seemed to still in awe or fear. As the final syllables fell from her lips, a rift tore open in the air above the altar. Smoke, black as midnight, spiraled downward. The air vibrated with a presence older than the oldest trees. From the depths of that darkness, a figure emerged, a demon, immense and intelligent, with eyes like molten gold that bored into the soul. Its voice was a chorus of echoes, simultaneously terrifying and enthralling. "So, you call upon me to destroy your enemies," it said, its words curling like smoke around her heart. "And what will you offer in return, mortal?" Lysera's pulse quickened, not with fear, but with triumph. "Your obedience," she said, her voice steady, "and the world shall kneel beneath our vengeance." The demon regarded her with something like curiosity. "Do you understand what you summon? Humans are not as weak as your vengeance assumes." A shiver ran through Lysera, but she dismissed it. This was her moment. This was the culmination of centuries. The ritual was complete. Humanity was doomed, or so she believed. Yet, far beyond the storm and the cliffs, a faint ripple, almost imperceptible, traced its way across the world, a call that would awaken a human who would not bow to fear. Somewhere in the quiet of night, someone answered. Miles away from the summoning, in a modest workshop lit by flickering lanterns, a man named Elias was tinkering with a small mechanical device. He was an ordinary human, a scholar and inventor with no magical blood, no heroic lineage, just curiosity, courage, and the unshakable belief that one person could change the world. Then the air shifted. A faint vibration, a whisper on the edge of perception, tugged at his mind. It was a call, ancient and urgent, unlike anything he had ever experienced. Instruments on his workbench began to react, spinning and sparking. He didn't fully understand what it meant, but instinct told him action was required. Following the signal, Elias journeyed through forests torn by unnatural storms, across rivers boiling with heat, until he reached the edge of the devastation wrought by Lysera's summoning. He saw the first footprints of chaos. Trees turned to ash, small animals gone, the earth itself screaming under the weight of some unseen force. The demon had begun its work. Minor apparitions, fragments of nightmare, roamed the landscape, and yet Elias pressed forward. He was not trained in magic, but his mind was sharp. Where others might see only fear, he saw patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. He rigged simple traps from everyday items, flasks, mirrors, ropes, and turned natural elements against the supernatural forces. A branch became a lever, fire became a signal, light became a shield. For the first time, the demon noticed him. Its laughter rolled through the valley like thunder. "A human, foolish enough to come forward," it said. "Do you think you can stop me?" Elias did not flinch. He studied the creature, noting every movement, every reaction. He saw what no one else had. The demon, for all its power, had rules, bound by principles, limitations, and patterns. And Elias, clever and undeterred, began devising a plan. Along the way, he gathered allies, others who had glimpsed the unnatural and chosen courage over fear. Together, humans and creatures who had once been neutral or distrustful formed a small resistance, united not by magic, but by ingenuity, empathy, and courage. And with each step, Elias grew not just as a man, but as a symbol of human resilience. The demon's presence grew heavier as Elias approached the cliff where Lysira's ritual had occurred. The land itself warped under its will, but the human adapted. He navigated illusions, avoided pitfalls, and turned the environment against the demonic forces. Every step was a lesson in human creativity, small victories against seemingly insurmountable power. Finally, Elias confronted the demon directly. It towered over him, a being of nightmare, yet he remained calm. He noticed the subtle inconsistencies, the gaps in its logic. Using mirrors, sound, and clever traps, he maneuvered the demon into positions where it could be countered. The demon, intrigued and amused, realized that this human was unlike any other had encountered. Lysira intervened, unleashing her full magical fury. Spells twisted the air, fire rained down, and the ground quaked. But Elias had anticipated her moves. With a combination of foresight, clever tactics, and understanding of the demon's constraints, he turned her attacks against her. Each spell that sought to destroy him only created an opening, highlighting human adaptability and resilience. The stakes escalated. The demon began to break free of Lysira's control, its attention divided between the human and its summoner. Elias realized that brute force would not win this battle. He would have to outthink them both. Observing carefully, he discovered the demon's core vulnerability, a strict code of honor or a principle that could be appealed to through logic and cunning. The climactic confrontation began under the storm-darkened sky. Elias faced both the demon and Lysira, heart steady, mind sharp. The summoner's power was vast, and the demon's fury limitless. But human ingenuity had no equal. Elias baited the demon into a trap. Using reflection, sound, and timing, he forced it to confront its own contradictions. Lysira, obsessed with destruction, failed to anticipate the human's plan. She hurled spells with deadly precision, but Elias had predicted every move, using the environment and her own magic against her. The demon, caught in a logical paradox, paused. Elias spoke, appealing not with magic but with reason, empathy, and courage. He reminded it that humans were capable of destruction, yes, but also of resilience, wisdom, and even mercy. The demon, faced with such unexpected complexity, faltered. Its allegiance shifted, if only momentarily, and Lysira's control collapsed. In a final act of brilliance, Elias harnessed the very power of the summoning to banish the demon back to its plane, leaving Lysira powerless. Her rage was impotent against a human who had outthought her at every turn. When the storm cleared, the land was battered but alive. Elias stood atop the cliff, the sun rising on the horizon. Humanity had faced annihilation, and survived, not through magic or brute strength, but through intelligence, courage, and unity. And though the world bore scars of what had almost been, hope endured. Humans, Elias realized, could rise even against gods and monsters, not because they were the strongest, but because they were clever, compassionate, and unpredictable. The call had been answered, and the world had survived.